Now, people have said that the NDC agreed and then changed their mind. First of all, there has been no formal discussion anywhere by the government with the NDC. The NDC as a party had not taken a formal position. Individuals, different groups of people were expressing their opinions, and as the referendum was getting nearer, people started asking, what is the official position of the NDC? Now, in our party, the highest decision-making body of the party is the Congress. Apart from Congress, the next is the National Executive Committee, made up of 5 executive seats from the 16 regions. So the matter came before the Functional Executive Committee, which is the body that runs the party on a day-to-day basis. It was then referred to the flag bearer, who set up a technical committee. And then the National Executive Committee of the party met and discussed the issues thoroughly, pros and cons, the ramifications, the implications, legal issues, political issues, economic issues, social issues. And at the end of the day, the party then took a decision that we were going to vote for no. However, we said that 2431 in our manifesto, we said we agree to the election of MMDCs, but not on partisan basis. That has been our position, that we agree to the election of MMDCs, but not on partisan basis. But if the government is interested in pursuing this path, then it has to withdraw this bill and allow us to bring all the issues, sit at the table, and then discuss the issues properly. Now, the peculiarity of our local government system of the 1992 Constitution is that if you look at countries that have endured and survived for centuries, they take account of the peculiar political, historical, social, and cultural antecedents when they are designing their constitutional framework. So you take Great Britain. That is a modern society, but they also have a monarchy. Why wouldn't Britain say that, oh, because we are a modern society, European society, we want to be like America? They have to take account of their peculiar circumstances, social, cultural, historical, and political. You take countries like Denmark, they have a monarchy. You take America, they practice the presidential system. Every country takes account of its peculiar social, cultural, and historical antecedents before arriving at the way to go. We have had the first Republican Constitution, it did not survive. Second one did not survive. Third one. This fourth one is the longest surviving constitution in the history of Ghana. And I dare say the reason why it has survived, it was because of the peculiar nature of the way it was constructed and designed. It took account of our peculiar history. And so it was designed in a manner that at the top, we can do our partisanship. But when it comes down to the grassroots, to our local communities, let's not take the partisanship there. Because we all know what happens when there is unbridled partisanship. It brings acrimony, it brings division, it brings a lot of tension. Only last week we are told that somebody who was appointed as Director of Medical Services was removed because he was found to be somebody who was previously an NDC person. So whether the person has the brains, is qualified or not, and you've all seen it. Anytime there's a new government, they sack all the people, bring new people. It's been going on and on and on. And I was frightened when Dr. Peter sought to tell us that by agreeing on partisan elections at the communities, you will get jobs, the society will improve. So after this 27 years of multi-party democracy, are you getting jobs? Yes. When your colleagues leave school, do they get jobs?
Yes.
Of course. Of course. partisan. So you see, I was right. So I'm saying that there are reasons why. Political reasons, legal reasons, technical reasons, practical reasons, cultural reasons why we think that it is dangerous to carry this partisanship to the local level. So we designed a local government system. The system says that the MMDCs will be the chairpersons of the security councils. So in Ashanti region, if we allow partisanship, they will appoint all of them will be elected and they will be MPP people. If an NDC government is in power, or in Volta region, all the MMDCs will be NDC people. If an MPP government is in power, if the president wants to visit, or if there is a disaster or an emergency, who is going to manage the security? The regional coordinating councils are supposed to monitor all the MMDCs and control them and direct them. When you have a situation where that level also becomes partisan, and the government is in power is different from the party or the MMDCs who are partisan, whose instructions are they going to listen to? So it will create a lot of problems. Now, the District Assembly's law also says that the president will appoint 30% of assembly members. So how are we going to resolve that? There are a number of legal and constitutional issues. And when we raise them, they say, we should just go ahead and amend 55.3. Once we amend 55.3, the rest will be taken care of. Please, I beg to differ. That has been the bane of this part of the world. That any time we're embarking on any project, we don't sit down and count the cost and do critical analysis. So we start projects, we start initiatives, we don't think through from the beginning to the end. And all of you are students. You are trained that anytime you are going to embark on a project, you sit down and you do a critical analysis. What are the implications? What are the cost implications? What are the political implications? We haven't done all those things. We should go ahead and amend, and some way, somehow, those problems will solve themselves. No. Even in the Bible, Luke chapter 14, verse 28 to 32. The Bible says, and I'm paraphrasing, that if you are going to build a house, you first sit down, you count the cost before you start. Is it not in the Bible? The Bible also says that if you are going to war, you have to sit down and determine whether with your 1,000 troops you can overcome someone who has 10,000 troops. So we have raised a number of fundamental questions, legal issues, political issues, social issues, even about the role of chiefs. So many issues that we have raised. Our friends are saying that no, you don't worry, just go and amend. When you amend, then those will take care of itself. I'm saying it is a very, very dangerous thing to do. Knowing our history in this country, where we just do things anyhow, it's a very, very dangerous thing to do. So, for me, the discussion we should be having is how we can sanitize the current political system. And I've been at the forefront of this political system for God knows how long, since 1992. And I know what I'm talking about. Every 4 years, each of the two major political parties spend hundreds of millions of dollars in elections. And Dr. Akwete knows, this is not the first time I'm speaking about it. I have been campaigning that it's about time we begin to reform how parties are financed. Those hundreds of millions of dollars, where do they come from? It is not from any productive source. When you say, they say democracy is expensive, go and look at America. America has Google, America has Facebook, they have the military industrial complex. Where are our industries? So we are not thinking. We spend hundreds and millions of dollars every 4 years. Why? And then after the 4 years, you see, if there's a graph here now, you see 4 years the economy will go down. Election year, it goes down. it will be going up. Like, we've been doing this for 27 years. Some of you, I don't know where you are from. If you are in Accra, Accra is not Ghana. Ghana, go to places. People drink water with animals. People drink water with animals. Look at some of the schools our brothers and sisters are in. They use stones to teach them how to use a mouse. And these children are going to compete in the global world. And we are pumping money every 4 years into election. We are not thinking of how we can reform that system. That is the conversation we should have. A sensible conversation. That look, what pertains in Britain, where there is a limit as to the amount of billboards even that a candidate can use. The amount of money you can spend on adverts. The amount of money you can spend on rallies. We are not doing that. We are spending money every 4 years. And in the midst of this, we want to carry this hook, line, and sinker without reform and take it down to the lower level. It will be an unmitigated disaster. I haven't even talked about the violence, the chaos. And mind you, before these elections, as Bernard Moda intimated, there will be primaries. If you're a poor man, you won't find the money. Today in assemblies, there are poor men, but they are intelligent people. There are farmers, they are intelligent people. Ordinary Ghanaians are able to participate. You want money bags to take over. And those money bags, they are not NGOs. So when they put in the money, they definitely want the payback. I'm talking from experience. I was the one who was made to investigate JIDA. When I was investigating JIDA, I was in conflict. Because the people who were involved were people who gave me money. You see, you don't like the truth. That's why we are deceived. We must tell the truth. Do you understand me? So they give money to both parties. So at the end of the day, they are not NGOs. They have to find the money back. So they have to get contracts, and they will increase the contracts, and this nonsense will be going on and on and on, and we haven't dealt with it and want to carry it down to the lower level. God forbid. So please, this business about once we go, I don't want to use the word, but I think it's inappropriate and oversimplistic to say that once we go and elect people on a partisan basis, then automatically development will come, jobs will come, and then we will say, yeah, what is wrong with us? We must question some of these propositions.
30 seconds.
There is danger ahead of us. We have been able to, this is the longest serving republic. 27 years, all the republics did not survive. Why? Because part of the reason, I'm saying part, is because at the base, at least, when we do all our things up there, down there at the local level, when they go to the assembly, Kofi Menu goes, Adwa goes, the people elect him because of his capabilities. He may be NDC or NPP. That argument that, they are politicians or they are political parties, so in the military people, don't they vote? Policemen, don't they vote? Or this director, doesn't he vote? So should they form NDC and NPP wing in the Electoral Commission? Or in Ghana Army? Or in the police service? Because it's happening. So please, it's a very serious matter. There is danger ahead. And we must know that if we don't reform the national politics and begin to put in sensible things, that will reduce the monetization and ensure that there is proper accountability. People must declare their assets and publish it. Those are the things we should be talking about.
Thank you, Lois.